Hey guys, welcome back to RPG A Day. Late video here. Usually I have them up at noon, but way late. And this is still a catch-up day from yesterday's. Favorite system. Favorite RPG system, with the emphasis on system. Look, everyone who watches anything in this channel knows that currently Rolemaster is my favorite system. If you really watch this channel, you'll know that if you start dividing it by genres, then I'm looking for a new favorite system I'm looking for new favorite systems, period, because I'm interested in how systems work. I'm looking for a superhero system. I own TSR's Marvel. I have played Champions in conventions. I now own Mutants and Masterminds 3rd edition. That hasn't hit the table yet. Excuse me. I think let me be positive here and encouraging and say I think it's important to always be open to replacing your favorites. I say that as a more recent position, right? Like, I might have been open to it theoretically 10 years ago to replacing Rolemaster, but was I looking to? No. And it's not because you hate the system that is currently your favorite system. You're just open to it. I can see the caveat of saying, well, my favorite way of gaming isn't really hot anymore, and so there's not really systems coming out for it. Okay, fine. You're not looking for anything. Maybe in 10 years, things will move around. Fashions and fads will recycle, and your favorite is up again. And systems. I'm just going to kind of key on the word systems here. I think I used to be a believer in system is independent from setting. There was a very long conversation on RPG Geek, and by the end of it, I was convinced that no, setting and system is somewhat linked. Though I still hold that with relatively minor changes, you can probably adapt them to a few more settings. Though not like every system can't be generic though, or universal. Universal, I think, is the proper term. And I think it's useful to know, like, what are the characteristics of your favored systems. And I also think, depending on the amount of time you have in the hobby, the more limited your time, the less you might decide to vary, right? But if you've got the time to explore systems, being aware of, like, this is a heavier system, this is a lighter system, this is one that focuses on the individual characters, whereas this is more approaches things from the big network of society. I don't have these words written out ahead of time, so my concepts might be a little loosey goosey, but right, like basically having multiple favorites, right? By saying, well, if I look at this idea, this is my favorite system, and this is what kinds of ideas I prefer. And if I look at this kind of idea, which is different, I have different, perspectives. Like if you're going to do, let's say, a dungeon. Let's pick really obvious kind of like opposites: a dungeon crawl versus more dramatic, or at least a character event, non-combat driven. Something like maybe like the premise of Shadowruns or Blade in the Dark. If you de-emphasize the combat, then it's much more about like the making the context and the scouting and the infiltration. Maybe something like a spy game. I know there are spy RPGs. Those two kinds of ideas. You might not have the same preferred setting or system ideas for. So I think it's interesting to just kind of think about that kind of stuff if you have the time to have a varied hobby, to do that. Anyways, it's kind of a ramble. See you in the next video.